Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aikal and this is two of my friends who are representative of our group, which is Group 10, will presenting our documentary review titled Homelessness in New York. We will cover our presentation into 5 chapters. Through this documentary, we are exposed to the dark side of New York City that a few people are aware of. It was a grim reality because as many as 8.4 million people call New York City as home, but more people now are homeless than at any point since 1930s. Homeless can be defined as condition in which an individual or family does not have a secure and permanent dwelling, such as those who live in shelters or sleeps on the streets. Even New York City has the largest public shelter system in the United States, but it still cannot accommodate and solve these protracted problems. Next, I will continue with defining and framing the issue. In this chapter, I will divide it into 3 main parts. The first part is innovative employee. Having trouble getting a job and not have a safe place to live is a very important issue that we encounter in this documentary. Hence, one of the ways to avoid this is to become a determination worker. Through this documentary, a good example shown is Melissa Rivera, a victim of a denial shelter. She has worked hard to earn $400 per month as a door-to-door saleswoman. Even when things are difficult, she never give up on her life and changed her past for the better future of her family. The second part is trends in current practice. As you can see here, what really happened in this documentary is increasing in demand for affordable building and housing. This is because there are a few of apartments that have been considered affordable and for low-income family has been lost due to the price being too high for them to purchase. Next is increasing in median rent. This is because median rent has increased by 8.5% while median income has dropped by 7%. These factors leads the increasing in homeless people in New York. And for the third part is the nature of employment. For this documentary, we can observe another reason why the number of homeless people still increasing in New York is due to difficulty to find a job. This is because homeless people confront numerous barriers such as not up to date. Because New York City, one of the developed countries, it requires a workforce that up to date. As a result, the ratio of employed and jobless person remain unbalanced. However, many of them, which is homeless people, still wish to work.
Hi everyone, I am Baikis Amani. So from now on, I will be discussing about the documentary related to the chapter in Principles of Management. First and foremost is in chapter 4, which is the political instability which affects the homelessness in New York. Political instability can be defined as the tendency toward the system or government change over time. Political instability has the unintended consequence of causing an economic downturn caused by a lack of government income. When the economic growth is in a slump, business will lay off their workers. Thus, from that situation, the workers will be unable to pay their rent and ultimately become homeless as an outcome from their unemployment and loss of income. Not to forget, the political instability also prevents the government from providing an affordable housing to its citizens. As we can see from the documentary, 1 in every 106 New Yorkers is homeless, which nearly 2,400 people sleep on the street, in the subway, or in other public places. Even though they have requests to the government for an affordable housing, they were told that apartment prices will be prohibitively expensive. More than a quarter of the apartments in New York City assumed reasonably priced to low-income families have been demolished. Next is in chapter 5, which talks about the unethical behavior. Unethical is defined as something that violates a highly moral norm and is morally incorrect, whereas behavior is defined as how a person acts. But the question is, how does unethical behavior give an impact to the homeless? When some of the business does not practice the rules of justice and fairness, it will cause the employees to be oppressed. As an example that we can see from today is when an employee are not paid their due wages and are given very low rates despite them working all day long. Last one, the chapter that we can relate with the documentary is in chapter 16, which is about motivating employees. Motivation, according to the textbook Management 13th edition, refers to the internal and external influence that stimulate passion and tenacity in pursuing a certain path of action. It can easily be described as the driving force behind every human actions. Motivation is a psychological construct. Thus, it cannot be forced into employees. Our actions are driven by internal or external forces, which known as intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Studies shows most homeless individuals are extremely driven to work because they are concerned about losing their homes. From the documentary, Melissa Rivera, for example, is motivated by her children to continue working as a door-to-door saleswoman while earning $400 a month. Melissa Rivera does not want her children to be like her and sleep on the street. Thus, homeless individuals are extrinsically motivated as they are scared of losing their job and money.
Now we move to the next chapter that which will be delivered by me. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Akmala binti Muhammad Zain. Let us begin with the explanation of conclusion and recommendation. For the first part, conclusion. To summarize, while homelessness is a national issue, it has reached crisis proportion in New York City. For those who live here, this is a daily occurrence. People who are homeless or on the verge of becoming homeless can be found on the subway, on the street, at school, or at work. Everyone desires two things, which is a secure place to sleep at night and the opportunity to live in the world's most populous city. We must act quickly to provide services that allow people to leave homeless shelters and more quickly and easily or avoid them entirely. Also, we are required a long-term strategy that redirects resources to permanent affordable housing and reduces the number of homeless people. Then moving on to the recommendation which can be analyzed from the video. Firstly, proper on-site living wage economic empowerment services. People living in Department Homeless Services shelters could benefit from on-site living wage economic empowerment through this initiative. Financial literacy, financial planning, budgeting, asset building services, small business services, and others would be available. The method could be tested in 3 shelters. 1 for children family, 1 for adult family, and 1 for single people. Secondly, intensifies the housing first model more effectively. According to Housing and Urban Development, homelessness in New York fell from 124,000 to 93,000 between 2007 and 2013. These trends demonstrate the impact of the housing first model on chronically homeless people. This model accommodates needy people who are already homeless. It is possible to implement it without regard with the homeless. Thirdly, integrate housing and homelessness policy. Homelessness is defined as the lack secure permanent housing. A deputy mayor of homelessness and affordable housing should be appointed by the city. This position will help to ensure that the city has a housing strategy that addresses the homeless population. It will also contribute to the growth of affordable housing and homeless shelters. Last chapter is lessons that have been learned from the documentary. Every video watched is sure to have a lesson to be learned. From this video, it is found that it creates feelings of compassion and sympathy. The documentary teaches us to see a woman, children, and the elderly lying on the street or beneath the bridge causes us to feel compassion and sympathy. A variety of factors contribute to homelessness, including mental illness and substance abuse. Some people are unable to pay their rent due to the rising of housing costs. Homeless people consume a large number of public resources, costing society money rather than making it. At some point in their life, the vast majority of homeless people have been physically or sexually abused. Then, protect human rights. Homelessness is not a violation of human rights, and the city of New York should address it responsibly. People are mistreated every day by landlords who make money by providing homeless shelters in order to receive government funding. This documentary demonstrates how the government ignores the issue while oppressing people, particularly the homeless. With the end of the chapter, so that's the end of our presentation. That's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye!